That is a future RVP right there, everybody. All right, with that said, welcome up Dan Roos.
I have no idea what he's going to talk about. All right, so I'm actually going to give you some practicals today. You should already be pumped up. Ah! I lost to win! Let's be a hurricane! Okay, that's your motivational speech for the day. So we're going to talk about, last night I did a kitchen table appointment with Tabitha, and we helped a military family, and he's retiring from the Coast Guard, and so I'm going to give you some, I guess I have some expertise in this area. So this will be a class on SBP, SGLI, VGLI, and how all this stuff works. So SBP. So SBP is the Survivor Benefit Program. And what that does is it'll give you, you pay into this. It functions like a horrific whole life policy. It's actually the combination between whole life and universal life. It's horrific. And it will give your spouse 55% of your retirement pay. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. SGLI is the life insurance that you receive, group life insurance that you receive when you're on active duty. And that can also be reserves. And the max is $400,000 of coverage for you, and it's $28. And then you can get $100,000 on your spouse, which is $9, and then $10,000 on each of your kids, and that's included in the family plan. So it's like $36, $37 a month. The cost is good, okay? For what you're getting, the cost is good. However, it is group life insurance, and so it can be denied. And I have been present when it has been denied for soldiers who have been killed or passed away or died. And so there are times when this does not pay out. VGLI is what's called Veterans Group Life Insurance, and this is extremely expensive. Extremely. And it goes up on your 0 and 5 year birthday. So when you turn 40, 45, 50, 55. Now the nice thing is all of this is public information. So you can go on the Veterans Group Life, the Veterans website, U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, and Google all this junk. Now, when you go from active duty to retired, so this is after 20 years minimum, your SGLI, or if you retire, your SGLI will last for 120 days. And then it goes away. So you have basically 4 months, it'll hang out there for you, and then it's gone. But you can automatically convert your coverage from SGLI to VGLI, no medical exam. However, when you look at the Veteran Group Life Insurance rates, if you join the military when you're 20 and you retire at 40 and you got $40,000 worth of coverage, it's $68. And then it goes to 88, 144, 268, 432, 600, 920, and 1840 a month. Not going to work real well. So it's...
Were those the 5-year anniversaries?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, 88, 144, 268, 600, I forgot what the next one, I mean, boom! It don't take very long before it's out of control. So, now, with the SBP, so anybody that you get, I highly recommend when you talk to people in the military that you let them know a couple of reasons why the SGLI, they want to keep it. I recommend that they keep it. Yes?
By law, they have to keep it.
That's not true.
You cannot recommend they get rid of their SGLI.
That is a true statement, but they don't have to have it. You can decline SGLI. I think you'd be an idiot to do it. For $28, that's great. Yes?
Just in my notes, so when the 120 days and you can convert it to VGLI, is it the same amount or does it drop to the...
No, it'll drop, but you can, it will drop. A lot of times it drops all the way to 100,000.
Okay, so it does drop significantly when you switch it over.
Yeah, but you can get more, you just have to do that. You have to pay more, so And you need to do. The reason why the VGLI was the Veterans Group Life Insurance was built was because so many soldiers were retiring after 20 plus years, and we go to some godforsaken countries and you can pick up some horrible diseases, and when you get out, you can't get life insurance. And so the government built that for high-risk soldiers, high-risk people. This is a very high-risk market. So if you're healthy, the only reason you should get Veterans Group Life Insurance is because you can't get life insurance. That's the only reason why you should keep that. And so I would always recommend that you don't, unless you can't qualify. Now, having said that, when I talk to people in the military, and I did this, I had my own life insurance outside of the military when I was 23 years old. Now, I did get hosed by some people that sold me some whole life insurance, dirtbags, and it was first command, scum suckers. But I got rid of that after about 18 months and got term life insurance. However, the reason why you want to do that is because if you're going to spend an extended amount of time in the military, you are going to get injured, and you could get some disease from one of these horrific countries you got to go to. And so, yeah, it's nice to have that, but 10 years in, if you got kidney problems, sleep apnea, whatever have you, you're done. You're done. Your only choice is that, and that's horrible. I mean, it's going to become unaffordable. So do everything you can to get them to understand that they need to get life insurance outside, because once they're qualified, if they can't get it later, you've already locked it in, you're okay. Now, having said that, this gentleman's retiring, and if you look up the SBP costs, right now, for every $1,000 you get in retirement money from the military, you have to pay $65 a month for your SBP, Survivor Benefit Program. This gentleman, well, for this example, let's say you're going to get $5,000. Because they do it off the gross, right? So, and if you don't know how retirement pay works, they only give you, today, they give you 50% at 20 years of your base pay. Now, you get base pay and housing allowance and food and all this other stuff. But all they're going to give you your retirement is only on your base pay. And it used to be everything, and then the government figured out that, they were retiring with a decent amount of money, so they had to eliminate that. And so now, 50% of that base pay, we'll say for this case, is $5,000. Now that's the gross. Now you're still paying taxes on all this money, and you have allotments that got to go out. By the way, people think that health care from the military is free. No, I pay for that. But they take the $65 a month off of the gross. So when you multiply, 65 times 5, right? That's 5 plus 2 is 30. So that's $325 a month for 50%, right? So if he dies, in this example, she's going to get like $2,700, and she has to pay taxes on that, right? Mm-hmm. For $325, and you have to pay that for 30 years. Once you're in, you're locked in. If she dies first, you get nothing. Now, typically women live longer, which is nice, but sometimes it doesn't happen. So what I told him, and what I tell, and you got to run the numbers to see if this works for you, but you can always get you almost can always get a better deal with a long-term life insurance program, and this is exactly what I did. Go get $1 million worth of term life insurance for 30 years, and if it costs less than $325, you're in. Why? Even if it costs a little bit more, because this goes up over time. When I retired in 2010, I was going to have to pay $283 a month for my SBP. By the time I got into my 60s, it was going to be $600 a month. Because I got to pay for this for 30 years. I'm locked in. And so for them, it was going to be like $474 a month. Oh, that included $315,000 on her too. So his portion was going to be, $300 and some dollars. But it's still better. This is not how much he makes, but if it was, it's still better than that. Because if you just put the $1 million in a 5% guaranteed variable annuity, she's going to get $50,000 a year, which is $4,100 a month for life, which is almost all of the pay. Does that make sense? Does this make sense?
Wow.
So, yes.
When does somebody sign up for SBP?
When they retire, you,
So it's when you retire, you start paying into that? You can't start paying into it when you're 20?
no.
So it's when you
Well,
retire.
only 5% of the people that join the military retire. 5.
So you don't start that until you retire, then you have 30 years.
That's right. And by the way, your spouse has to sign a letter that says, I don't want it. I could not turn it off. My wife had to come to the base and read the form and sign it with witnesses to say, you don't want it. Now, before you get there, you have to make sure that you can get the life insurance in place.
So you're automatically signed up for SBP when you retire? You don't have a choice?
Basically.
Unless the spouse does it.
Unless the spouse signs a
No,
waiver?
the spouse has to come sign the waiver. But nobody understands how this works, and the government is pitching it. Obviously.
Changed after you retire?
No,
No.
Okay.
So once you sign up for it, you.
done, locked in, 30 years.
Forever.
So 5 years in, your spouse can't decline it?
Nope,
So there's a very small window.
very small window.
When they ouch.
So and it's gonna go up to $600 and you don't have a choice?
It just automatically comes out of their retirement.
Yeah, it's an allotment that comes right, so if the retirement's 500,000, they subtract it right from they take the taxes out, they take the allotment out, and then you get the rest. And so,
Ridiculous.
No, it's actual. It's actual.
yeah,
Actually ridiculous.
it's actually ridiculous.
It's true.
There's something else I was gonna tell you. He threw me off.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
20 years old, you retire when you're 40, you're paying till you're 70, so it is definitely going up to $600, $800, $1,000, whatever it's gonna go up.
Oh, yeah. Well, oh, yeah.
Something about kids, maybe?
Does it ever get to a point, Dan, to where that amount that they draft out is more than your actual retirement pay?
No.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. Now, if you both survive 30 years, you stop paying and you have it for life.
Wow.
Lucky you.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, it's like it's paid up the whole life.
So
Hey, Dan, how long do they have to reject that, your spouse?
you start the retirement process, they tell you 12 months out, but it's really 6 months. So in the last 6 months that you're in the military, you go through your medical, they go through everything. And it's basically called it's called TAPS, Transition Assistance Program, and in there you got to go to the finance department and go through all this paperwork, and all of this stuff has to be done prior to your retirement date. Prior. So basically, in the last 6 months of your career, that's when all of that paperwork will be filled out. So the decision has to be made while you're on active duty. By the way, it's the same for your GI Bill, but that's a whole nother conversation.
One extra question, if they built up a lot of their ETS reserve time, and they ETS, does that have a factor of that window, or
What do you mean by ET? Are you talking about?
end of time in service? So they use their leave time
The
prior
leave.
to the,
Right, yes, because you're gonna have to sign out. You can actually do the paperwork, so I wasn't gonna get into this, but this is actually helpful. So, follow me on this, it's all about the money, all right? Follow me on this. Let's say you're gonna retire in October. This is your 1 October is your retirement date. By the way, you always retire at the end of the month, so it'd really be the 31st. 31st of October, retirement date. A lot of times you can accrue and hold up to 90 days of leave. So if you don't go on leave every year you get 30 days, and so if you don't go on leave for 3 years, you would actually accumulate 90 days of leave. Now, above that, you can't hold anymore, so if you don't take it, they just don't give it to you. So you try to keep into the 80, 75, 80, 85, you want to keep that. And so what a lot of people will do is this would be the ETS date, and term of service. That is your last day. You literally go to the base and you sign out for the last time. So if your SBP paperwork and all this, your GI Bill paperwork and all that stuff isn't signed, it's got to be signed on that day.
Okay.
So, but a lot of times you'll get the paperwork done. So here's what happens. They say, well, I've got 90 days of leave. So we go backwards, September, August, July. So on 1 July, on 1 August, I'm going to start my 90 days of leave. So from August 1st to the 31st of October, you go on leave and you get paid your base pay plus your housing, plus your food, and any other pay you get.
Flight pay.
Flight pay if you're a pilot, doctor pay if you're a doctor. So you get paid all of this while you're on leave, so you're not working, doing whatever you want, getting paid, it's beautiful. And then when you retire on the 31st, you start your retirement pay, which is just 50% of your base pay if you're in for 20 years. Here's what I coach people to do, and this is exactly what I did. Just go to work. Don't take the leave. Because in the last 90 days, what are they going to do to you? Bend your dog tags? What are they going to do? Oh, Colonel Roos, you didn't come to the meeting. And? I've got 84 days left. What? Because if you go, you're still going to get paid your base pay, your housing allowance, and your food. And then on your ETS day, guess what they do? They hand you a check for $27,000 or $34,000 because you cash in your leave. I walked out the door with $18,851. Thank you very much. It's a bonus check on the other but over here, you only get paid your base pay. If you cash in your leave, you only get your base pay. But I won't get my food allowance, and I won't get my housing allowance. Pay attention.
You got it all.
You got it because you kept showing up. You not only did you get all of that money, then you got plus 20,000 when you walked out the door.
But going back to the SBP.
Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, go ahead.
Did you really not show up for meetings?
I didn't go to PT. I left early. They sucked the life out of me. I deserved those last two years. Freaking, you go to Iraq for a year, find out what happened.
1 minute, I gotta go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm winning here, baby.
Going back to the SBP though, is that is signed on that ETS date?
No, before.
Okay.
I mean,
So if they do take the 90
you can
days-
sign it 30 days out, 60 days out. It just has to be signed while you're on active duty.
Okay.
You can't sign it after. It's over. You're not in
Yeah,
anymore.
it's a big legal requirement.
Yeah, well, they make you do it. I mean, they make you do it. And actually, I'm not sure now today, they may make your wife come in and sign that she wants it or doesn't want. I mean, I think they make them do it.
Okay.
So it's got to be done. So anyways, we're going to help this couple. We're going to help them big time. We're going to save them a ton of money, which is really, oh, I know I only got 1 minute. By the way, they're changing the military's retirement system, and it sucks. Doesn't suck for me. I'm already in, but I could go more, but you want me not to do it anymore.
That was awesome.
Are
Are you done?
Now it's video. What?
Are you done talking now?
No. But you want me to? I mean, I
Did you do
could.
something
I got
else
it,
you're gonna
Dan.
cover?
Oh, thanks. No, I mean,
I have a question, Dan.
Yeah.
If, now, you're talking about on retiring and stuff, they can only qualify for a certain amount of life insurance through America, depending on what their rank is.
No, not when they're retiring. Just put it in the, you write it in the agent comments, and if it doesn't come through, just give it to Dean.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
But if they're active
If they're
duty,
younger and they're active duty, there's limits, but depending on the number of kids and some other things, Dean can help us, get a little bit more. But when they're retiring, I mean, these guys are 6 months out. They're not going to stop them from getting the life insurance.
Yeah, I'll give it up to Dave up there. Plan on, Dan, just plan on coming back up for like 2 more minutes before we leave, just to talk about where we're going, what we're doing.